Welcome to the second ever episode of Across the Line, WFUV Sports' one and only tennis podcast. I'm joined once again by Mary Hawthorn and Gabby Price. We're going to talk all things Italian Open, which just wrapped up last weekend, WTA Strasbourg, which is going on as we speak, and then the French Open starts on Monday, so going to go over the draw, which was just released, and maybe talk a little bit more about those predictions we shared last week and then share our favorite French Open memories. So, before we get into all of that, Gabby, I'll start with you. How are you doing? What are your thoughts on the tennis season so far?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm up in Boston right now, actually, so not in my usual recording spot. And it's been raining. I'm sure probably similar where you guys are, and I'm sick of it. But um, no, all's good. The tennis season, I think, has been sorry. Um, I don't know. It's shaped in a lot of ways how I expected it to, but we talked a little bit last week, Sinner coming back, a lot of different people coming back from injuries, everything like that. And the French Open has always been kind of been one of my favorites to watch. And it's a great fun tournament to yeah, I've never been, but to watch from your TV, obviously. So I'm really excited. It's right around the corner, and I've been waiting for this for a while. So yeah.
Yeah, same. I'm so excited. I think it's exciting to see that Sinner isn't necessarily like the only person that can win ATP 1000s and 500s. I was excited to see Alcaraz sort of come to light and really shine recently. So I'm looking forward to talking about the French Open and I'm curious to see what your guys' predictions are.
Okay, so jumping right into the Italian Open, we alluded to it a little bit, but on the men's end, Carlos Alcaraz defeated Yannick Sinner in straight sets in the final, his first Italian Open title, seventh ATP 1000, alongside his four Grand Slams, of course. So for the part about how this affects our French Open picks, I had Sinner winning the French Open. Now I'm a little like unsure because
Really?
it seems like the only person that gives Sinner any trouble is Alcaraz, and they are. We'll talk about the draw, but they are on opposite sides of the draw, so they would meet in the final. Now, obviously, when you get to the final, like anything can happen, but I'm like the only, like literally since he got back from his suspension, the only person who's given Sinner any trouble is Alcaraz. So I think I might switch my pick. We'll get into like all of our picks towards the end of the show, but what did you guys think of this final? How are we thinking that this affects the French Open?
You know, I'm not surprised by it. I'm surprised by to an extent the lack of how competitive it was. I mean, they went to a tiebreaker in the first set, but the second set it was just like Alcaraz started cruising and like took that away. Um, and I think a little bit. I mean, Sinner had a great tournament throughout, especially coming back from not playing any matches for 3 months. So I feel like this tournament, like you said, Grace Alcaraz is really one of the only people that can kind of match him at this level that they play at. And so maybe coming back from a 3 month suspension, this was the first time that Sinner was actually like kind of put to his limits or his limits were tested. And so I'm really not surprised that he didn't win this first one, the first time that, he was kind of pushed to play at or above, his normal getting by level. So honestly, I think this could propel him to play a little bit better at the French Open than he otherwise would have. Um, and I'm going to take the opposite side as you, Grace. I actually don't think that this is too telling of how he's going to play this tournament. If anything, I think it's going to make him play with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
I'm conflicted because I don't know. Like I want Demon Hour to win the French Open. So I am kind of like,
Right.
I don't know what to think. Okay, the one thing about Sinner, I feel like that makes him so amazing is the fact that he reminds me of Djokovic in the sense that he can outlast anyone, regardless of the outcome of the first set. You can't count him out. And I think the Tommy Paul match in the Italian Open was a perfect example of that. Like Tommy Paul won that first set 6-1, and then Sinner came back and absolutely destroyed him. So I I always can rely on Sinner in the sense that I know that he can always come back. But against Alcaraz, like you said, Grace, that was, I mean, embarrassing almost. He lost that second set, 1-6. So, like you said, I think you put it perfectly. Alcaraz is the person that gives Sinner trouble. So I think I'm going to change my pick too and go Alcaraz for the French Open. Uh,
Yeah.
because I mean, he won last year. He's been playing really consistently. I think we definitely can rely on him. Maybe if he doesn't win, at least make it very far.
Yeah, we will get a little bit into how the draw impacts our picks in a little bit, but for the women's side of the Italian Open, we had Jasmine Paolini, who is Italian, the sixth seed, defeated Coco Gauff in straight sets last Saturday. She's the first Italian to win the Italian Open since 1985 and the first finalist in I believe it's 10 years as well. And then she went and won the women's doubles tournament alongside Sarah Irani, who was the last Italian Open finalist from Italy on the women's side. So I think that was a really fun moment, really interesting time for Italian tennis right now. And Jasmine will be ranked number 4 in the world going into the French Open. Guys, kind of the same vein here. What did you think of this final result? How does this affect the French Open?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've said it last week, and we'll keep saying it throughout the season. Coco Gauff, one of one of our favorite players right now, one of the greatest American players right now, and from the past couple of years. It would have been great to see her win. I'm not mad that Paolini won at all. I think she deserved this win. She played great. And she's just such a fun player to watch ever since she kind of broke out last year, I think, maybe the end of two seasons ago. It's so fun to see her on the court and getting these big wins that she's kind of deserved for so long, but just hasn't quite gotten there. She's been in a couple finals, but yeah, a great tournament for her. Also, have to love seeing her win doubles. She's a great double players too. We talk about her in singles. Her double matches are also really fun. I'm kind of biased. I love to watch the doubles in these slams, just because it's what I like relate to more over singles. But the fact that she can do both in such an esteemed tournament, it's super cool to see. And I think it puts her into a great spot just in terms of obviously her skill, but her confidence going into the French Open. She should be feeling very good about herself.
I was going to say the same thing. I think the confidence that this is going to build is going to be great for her. I believe a projected quarterfinal that the US Open put out has on the right side of the draw, Paolini versus Swiatek in the quarters, and then Sabalenka v Zhang. So, and then on the other side, Andreeva, Pagula, and then Keys Goff. I'll send it to you guys. It was really cool, all the different projected outcomes. But in the circumstance that she were to play Swiatek, I think that she would win, considering how consistent she's been playing and how strong she has been on clay. I think she's definitely proven herself. But after seeing her run, I think, Gabby, what you were talking about was Wimbledon last year, I think was when she made it really far.
Yeah.
Like Navarra,
Wimbledon in French too, right?
the
I
French.
think
Okay.
she, I think she finaled both.
She was. Wow. Okay. So I'm optimistic about her. I think that the confidence that this will build is crucial. So I'm really looking forward to seeing her play.
Yeah, so we'll have to see again the draw on that end. Iga, as you said, Mary, Iga Swiatek, Sabalenka, and Paulina are all in the same half, and then you have a ton of other I think the best part about women's tennis right now is that there's so many people at the top who like can easily win this tournament, and it wouldn't even like I wouldn't really be that surprised if Paolini won the French Open at this point.
No, not at
And
all.
then obviously like you'd never be surprised if Iga won, Sabalenka won. Like there's so many different people. And I think that's so great because there's always somebody new coming to the table. But moving along to the WTA Strasbourg tournament, which is happening right now. It's a 500 level tournament. And kind of the last tune up to the French Open because the French Open starts on Monday. Couple matches to go over here. The two seed Emma Navarro lost, I believe it's the quarterfinals to Brazil's Beatriz Haddad Maia. Um, three sets. Thoughts? I feel like we haven't talked about Emma Navarro a lot, but she did kind of make her breakout last year at the US Open. She reached the semifinals. So, what were your thoughts on this match and thoughts on Navarro's game recently?
Yeah, definitely tough loss for her. Three sets, definitely a battle, of course. I do really like Emma Navarro. I think she has a solid game. I don't think she's the most consistent in terms of just staying confident throughout an entire season, especially. I think she has a bunch of ups and downs, and her highs are really high, but she kind of hits these weird lows at certain times where she can't beat sometimes these other top 10 players. And I mean, in this specific tournament, Hadid Maya was number 9. So I think sometimes she has a hard time playing against people who are ranked even a little bit higher than her, which for tournaments is not always, the best thing going into it. But I think she also has a lot of potential. I don't know if she's reached that potential yet, though. So she's definitely one that is fun to watch and fun to keep an eye on. And her relationship with the other American tennis players is also very fun. But in terms of the French, I don't know how far I see her going into this one.
I agree with Gabby. I know last year she made it to the fourth round, which is good. That's an accomplishment. But she hasn't really shown, I think, her full potential, exactly what you said, Gabby, at the French. I know she does have about a 65% win rate on clay, which is great, but I think she can drastically improve that over the course of the year and even in this tournament, based on her performance in this WTA tournament. So, I mean, I know that it's not her strongest surface, that's hard court, but I don't know. I'm a little conflicted here because that loss definitely kind of threw a wrench in what I thought or in how I thought this tournament would play out.
Yeah, my thing about Emma Navarro is like she made the semifinals at the US Open, and I feel like that like everybody after that had these high expectations, but she did like last year was really like her first big year on the tour. She won her first title. She won obviously or she went to her first major semifinal and she cracked the top 10. But I think she has a long way to go, and that's not like a detriment or anything. It just, I think there's, her career is very young so far, and she's a long way to go. I don't think she's going to be a
Yeah.
favorite.
She's
Um,
also 24. She's
right.
also young. Like
She's got like so much
her
time.
career's young and also she's young. She has so much time. Yeah.
Yeah, she has so much time. Kind of like, well, I don't want to compare her to Coco, but like they both have a lot of time in their careers, you know? So any
Yeah.
struggles they have, I'm like, they're probably just working out the kinks. Um, but alongside that match in Strasbourg was Paula Badosa upset by I'm so sorry, I'm probably saying this wrong, but Ludmila Samsonova, another three-set match. And then if you guys have any comments on that match as well, but thoughts on this tournament overall heading into the French Open.
Yeah, that match I wasn't able to really watch that match at all, but Paula Badosa is one that I don't know, she's been on the scene for a couple years, I think, and has had um pretty good success, but also I think like not similar to Emma Navarro in terms of like how long they've been on the scene, but like in terms of maybe level wise or play wise or like wins that they're able to get. I don't know. I feel like she like comes in and out at different times that you know her name because of those little wins. The tournament as a whole, um, it's a 500 tournament, so you know you're getting a certain caliber player. I think for the players who did well in this tournament, it's definitely going to help with their confidence going into the French. Um, but obviously, the French Open Roland Garros is just a completely different environment. So yeah, I think for the players who will win, who made it to quarter semis in Strasbourg, they definitely should have some good confidence going into the French to kind of make a good run this year.
Definitely. In regards to Badosa, I mean, she's an incredible player. I love her. I think she's fantastic. But her chronic back injury that she's had since 2023 has definitely been an obstacle she has to overcome. So, I mean, I was disappointed in this loss. I totally understand it considering, the obstacles just medically she's had to overcome. So although she is, ranked number 3 and she should be winning tournaments like these, I completely understand why she struggled because of how open and expressive she's been about, her injuries. In regards to the French Open, I believe she plays Naomi Osaka in the first round, which is going to be just an incredible match. I'm really looking forward to it because Naomi is another fabulous player that I think has faced some obstacles and really proven themselves. So in regards to the French, I feel like it's going to be just an exciting outcome regardless. But I'm hopeful that players like Badosa who are struggling with, some issues off the court are able to persevere and really prove their best because that allows for the best tennis.
Yeah, on that Osaka and Badosa match, actually, it's good that you brought that up, Mary. I think that's going to be interesting because clay has never been Osaka's surface. Throughout her majors that she's won, they've all been hard court. So I think that's actually going to be a good match for Badosa to like prove herself a
Yeah.
little bit. And I know like Osaka's career is kind of an up and down since she had that run in like 2021. I want to say it was her last major. Um, and that's a while ago now, but it's still like facing a multi-time slam champion in a major, and I think it'd be good for Badosa to like get a solid win there, especially because she was just in the semis in the Australian Open, which is her, I believe, her best slam. Yeah, her best slam result is the 2025 Aussie Open semis. So that would be good for her to continue on a good slam trajectory. But speaking of the French Open, we just got the draw released a couple days ago. For the men, I think it's a very heavily in the top half kind of draw. We have Sinner, Draper, Zverev, and Djokovic all in the top half, and then Alcaraz in the bottom half. Those are the ones that when I was looking at the draw that stood out to me. So what were your guys' thoughts on the draw? Who do you see coming out of each half? Let's do that.
Ooh, that it's a tough question because that top half, it's tough. And I was even gonna say about the women's side too, like the draws are like I mean we know all the players who can make runs who are notable names on tour, but when you see them all in the same draw, it kind of is like, ooh, oh my gosh, this is tough. I I was looking at the first round matchups and one, the Draper Bellucci, I think that could be a tough match for both of them. I know Draper's kind of on a hot streak right now, so I do have him taking that one, but I do think that it could go either way. And then Rune was another one I remember, I think I mentioned last week, and he's playing Bautista Agut
Mm.
from Spain. So I think that's also another tough match. Like some of these first round matches are just they're going to be tough ones, and they could shape um the draws very very interestingly. Oh my god, sorry, I can't speak right now. But I will say I think I'm going to stick with Sinner coming out of this. I unless something magical changes for Djokovic, I don't know if he can find himself back in the semis. Draper, I think, can make a great one. Zverev, also one not to ever discount. And then on the other half, I mean, I would be shocked if someone stopped Alcaraz.
Mm.
For me, I mean, on one side of the draw, I wasn't sure when we say top half, do we mean the half with Sinner in it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So on that side, I think the quarters could be Sinner Draper. That would be
Crazy.
I think
That would
Jack
be insane.
Draper has really proven himself. He's been so consistent. He makes it far in tournaments. Um, I got to see him play Fritz in the semifinal of the US Open in Ash. Wow. I became a Draper fan then because he is just incredible. His forehand is so consistent, so powerful. I think that would be great if he played Sinner in the quarters on the top half of the draw. For the other half of the top half, if that makes sense, I
Mhm.
could see Djokovic Zverev.
Yeah.
I am not a
Yeah.
Zverev fan, particularly, but I think he deserves a major. That may be controversial, but he has made it to so many finals and he keeps not really getting there. So potentially, I think that could be an interesting quarter. On the other side, there's so much talk about Fritz making it to the end of the draw or making it at least to the quarters. And if he were, I think there's potential for him to cross paths with Lorenzo Musetti. I
Mhm.
really like Musetti. He's really dominant on clay. That could be a good matchup, but I think Fritz might lose early on. I think that could be an upset. I I'm a little confused as to why he is ranked 4. I think his run in the US Open has a lot of credit. And I think, I mean, of course, he still is reaching his peak. He has so much still to accomplish. He's a young player that's still, making their mark. But I don't think he is going to make it as far as people project that he does. Watch him like win the French Open now that I said that, but like that would happen. But and then of course we have Alcaraz, who I think would make it very far. And I saw that he could potentially cross paths with Rude. This is all hypothetical.
Mhm.
But if he were, I think, he would dominate Rude. Although he just won that 1000 tournament, I don't think that there is a chance that he would defeat Alcaraz. So I'm still going to go with Alcaraz, but I think it's exciting the amount of talented players that are within the top 10 that could make it to the quarters.
Yeah, I was just actually going to mention, I forgot to mention Musetti in my thing. Like him being in the bottom half is interesting. That could be, I'm trying to see like who could match up with Alcaraz in the semis here on this half. I feel like maybe Musetti could make a run here. Or I mean, we didn't talk about Ben Sheldon. I feel like we don't have a lot of like we don't really know what he's gonna be like on clay because he's brand new and we like saw him at the US Open, which makes sense that he
Yeah.
did so well there because he's American, but um you never know. He's the 13th seed. But I think and also Tsitsipas is also in the bottom half with
Oh my gosh.
Tommy
Don't even get me
Paul?
started on him.
yeah.
How?
Wait, we've talked about how you don't like him, I think. I feel like we've like had this conversation.
I know. Also, where's Medvedev? But he is such a cheater.
He
Respectfully.
Medvedev, wait, I
Okay.
just saw his name on here. I
He's
literally was just
always calling a medical. He's always calling a medical. Oh my God. It's like a joke. I can't watch him play
Oh,
tennis.
actually,
That's so funny, Mary.
Well,
when I was
he
glancing,
literally does. Like anytime he's losing, he's like medical. Not even funny. I can't stand him. But anyway.
Um, but no, I was like looking at the draw last night. Medvedev and Cam Norrie face off in the first round, which I
Yeah,
think
that's
is kind of interesting. Like neither one of them are big on clay. Actually, Medvedev might have reached the French Open final once.
But you're right.
But like he's not like he's
yeah, he's not like crazy.
but Cam Norrie went to the Wimbledon final a couple of years. I feel like I should remember these years better, but that could be an interesting match. Trying to think who else, but yeah, on the top, I just think the top half is like stacked, but like a
It's
part of me still thinks it's gonna be Sinner and Alcaraz in the final
I would love that.
because
just like classic. It's
yeah,
classic.
it's
Yeah.
becoming. I feel like that's becoming the new. We can get into this a little bit, like the new classic rivalry. Is
I think it's yeah, I would definitely agree. I feel like it's been that.
yeah.
You know, like I feel like the past couple years it's like, oh, it's Sinner Alcaraz again, and like Djokovic has happened to like keep himself around and get in some of those finals, but yeah, they're definitely like the new young, just like superstar players. Which isn't interesting because then you have other people who have been around for so long. Like you have like Zverev or
Yeah.
Mendevev, like we were just talking about, who've been on the tour for so long and just haven't achieved that status. I even throw Fritz in there. I have
Mhm.
my qualms with Fritz as well, which we don't have to get into right now. Um, but I yeah, I think Sinner and Alcaraz, that's like one for the ages.
Yeah. Um, so on the women's half, I feel like, I mean, I kind of talked about this earlier, but the women is a little more dispersed, I feel like, in terms of their of how each half is weighted. As I said earlier, Swiatek, Sabalenka, and Paolini all in the top half, and then we have Coco Gauff, Madison Keys, who just won Australia, and Andreeva in the bottom half. So, who do we see coming out of each half for the women?
Again, tough questions, I think. Uh, I feel like I think Sabalenka is one that I think could do really well in this tournament. Maybe a little more so than Iga,
Mm-hmm.
but I also don't. Iga is definitely not one to discount. I just think Sabalenka, she's been a pretty good clay player. Obviously, just has that win from a couple weeks ago under her belt. Um, that being said, Paolini also being in this top half presents a challenge in itself. Like coming off this um, win from the Italian Open at home, she's definitely coming into this with something to prove and to prove that she can win a major and not just get herself to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
In the bottom half, Andreeva is someone that I kind of think could have a fun run. I don't think she could win per se, but I do hope that she has a pretty good run in this tournament. She's young. Keys, it would be really fun to see, fellow American, and of course Coco. But maybe Coco would take the bottom half. I'm not sure though. That bottom half I think is a little tougher to just say one person. I don't know if you guys feel that way too.
No, I definitely feel that way too. There's so many, like you said, I think Gabby, you said it before. There's so many great players within the top 10 right now, even on the men's side, where you don't know who could take it, which I think is quite exciting and different from the era of, Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, where it's only them dominating every major. I mean, I know, like we said, we have Sinner and Alcaraz now on the men's side, but for the women, I feel like we have a few. Even like I'm looking at Sabalenka, Swiatek, Keys now, Andreeva, Coco, Pagula. There's like I don't even know who to pick here because they've all really um, shined as of late. But I think Coco Gauff's potential lineup to the quarters where she could potentially play keys, I mean, that's just projected, is easy. And I think she totally could dominate these players. And I mean, although she didn't get the outcome that she wanted at the Italian Open, I think that she totally could dominate and come out with a victory in this tournament. But I also see, Sabalenka as, a powerful force. She has, an interesting draw. And Paolini, as we said before, I definitely am optimistic about her too.
You mentioned Pagula too, Mary, and she was someone I meant to say and I forgot to. She's been really good this season too, and I would like to see her do well in her spot of the draw as well.
Yeah,
I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, she's 3 now. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I can't.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so I feel like in the past couple months she's come out as a very strong player, and I don't know how she'll do on clay, but um, I think she has a decent half the draw where she can find herself a couple rounds in. Fourth round, I think minimal for her.
Yeah, I'm like looking at the bottom half, and one thing about the women is there are a lot who have been to like slam finals or gotten close recently and still aren't seeded. Like Marketa Vondrasova is not seeded. Ons Jabeur is not seeded, she's been to multiple major finals. I always
Yeah,
loved her.
I
Um,
love her so much.
I love her and I really hope she wins. One honestly, no, I'm just kidding. I was gonna say sneak pick, but I don't know about that. But
Yeah,
I really hope she wins either, this or a slam one day because I think she's a lot of fun. But there's a lot of players here who I feel like could like sneaky make a run, like those kinds of people. Maria Sakkari too is not
soccer, yeah.
seeded. Um,
Kennen,
yeah, exactly. Um, but for me, what did I predict last week for the men's or the women? I said my pick was
ooh,
Coco last week.
oh yeah,
I don't know. I don't want to like let the Italian Open results like determine everything because I think that's silly, but I think she could definitely come out of the bottom half and then in the top half, I mean a Swiatek and Coco final would be amazing, but low key like an Italian Open final rematch with Paolini and Coco in the French Open.
yeah.
It would be so cool.
That would be good. That would be fun.
That would be a lot of
I
fun.
just, you say that. How is Sabalenka losing though?
That's the thing. I feel like I always forget her until it's like the US Open and she's in the final again. And I'm like, oh, wait, like,
Yeah, seriously. Um, yeah, that's just for me. Like looking at these draws, it's hard to see a final without Sabalenka in it.
mm,
And watch me say that, and I'm jinxing her, and she's not going to be in the final. But yeah, I feel like she's been so good at getting herself into finals the past couple years that a final without Sabalenka is
I
crazy.
know. But I also like Iga is in that half. And
Yeah,
I'm like, how could she not be in the French Open final? Like she's just
yeah,
like the past like 4 years she's been in the French Open final, I feel like.
yeah. And she's been very successful on clay, actually.
Yeah. So it's tough for me to like not pick Iga.
Yeah,
Actually, that should probably be my pick. As much as I would love Paolini, but I feel like Iga, like you can't, it's not the French Open final without Iga these days. I'm like, if she's not there, there's something wrong.
there's something wrong.
Um, but I think, oh, and one other note actually, that I saw yesterday, 'cause he's one of my favorites on the tour, actually. Matteo Berrettini had to pull out of the French Open because he didn't say what injury, but he has another injury, which made me really sad because I love him. Um, and I really hope he can come back stronger, healthier, and eventually win his first major. But I think we can wrap with our last little fun segment. Share your favorite French Open memories, Gabby. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. I don't know. There are so many. I feel like for me, it kind of starts with seeing the um Nadal like Federer matches, Nadal coming out on top, like those are always super fun to watch. Um, and then I know this one is kind of recent, but Carlos winning his first French Open last year. Also a great moment. I know it was only last year, but that was really fun to see. And I think that was one of the first matches for me that like I really watched and he was like smiling the entire time and just like being so him and then watching the press conference after and he's just like I don't know, he's just like a 20-year-old kid and you're like, wait, like this is actually really cool. Um yeah, so for me, I kind of basic, not gonna lie. But that was really that was a fun final to watch and playing Zverev too. It was just like such good tennis as well.
I agree. I feel like any best memory of the French Open has to have Nadal involved.
Yeah.
Um, for me in particular, I was looking back trying to pinpoint a specific one in preparation for today. And I remember watching Nadal play Djokovic in 2013 in that crazy 5-set match. I don't know if you guys remember that. I was in third
Ooh.
grade going into fourth, but I remember watching that with my parents and just being like, I don't know, starry-eyed. I loved that match. 5 sets. Nadal ended up breaking Djokovic to win, and then of course won that French Open. But that match, I felt like really, it was one of those matches where you're old enough to remember it because
Yeah.
third grade you start to really like understand the sport a little bit more clearly. So that had to be one of my favorites. But honestly, any Nadal victory. I don't remember Rogers' 2009 French Open win.
No.
But definitely any of the Nadal ones, I was really excited. Even his win in 2022, I was excited to see him, come
Oh
up.
yeah, true. That's a good one too.
But Alcaraz, of course, I think that's the start of the Alcaraz dynasty, his win in 2024.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say I was gonna pinpoint another Nadal French Open win. The 2017 one, which was his 10th, so that was obviously a really big deal. And then it was he hadn't won. For him, it was a long time to have not won since 2014 at that point. Because I believe it was Djokovic in 2015 and then Stan Wawrinka in 2016, or some
Mm.
combination of those two. Who I loved Stan Wawrinka. I always thought he was so much fun to watch. But my favorite was when Nadal like got his 10th, like it was back to being his, because he won four in a row after that, and then he won his last one in 2022 after not winning it in 2021. I actually don't remember who won in 2021, probably because I didn't care once Nadal lost. But like,
Tell it
but
like it is.
yeah, like that was his thing. But yeah, I would say 2017, I do remember that final very clearly because everybody was like, "Oh my God, he's won this thing 10 times," which
And
is still
time.
so outrageous to me.
Insane.
I actually just bought a book about Nadal's career that I'm
Oh.
excited to start reading soon, just in time for the French Open. So
Yeah, perfect. You're right on brand.
I'm right on theme. Um, but I think that is going to do it for our second ever episode. The French Open starts on Monday in Paris, France, of course. So we will have you guys covered for all of the happenings around the French Open throughout the 2-week tournament. But for now, thank you so much for listening. I'm Grace McCarron with Gabby Price and Mary Hawthorn. Cross the Line is a production of WFUV Sports.